All right, we are live on the Coach Eli television network. I can't get the words out. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Coach Eli. You see, you screw up and you keep on going when you're live. So welcome to Morning Coffee with Coach Eli here on the Coach Eli television network. We're broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and D Live. Glad you could all join me this Thursday morning. It is Thursday, August 5th, 2021. And like I always say at the beginning of these streams now, I'm making it a point to say this, that my live streams have great evergreen replay value for the most part. Unless I specifically stated at the beginning of the stream, you'll get great value whether you view this live or on the replay anytime down the road for the foreseeable future. So, if you're here watching on the replay, please stick around because this is going to be probably one of the most important shows I've done, especially if you're a guy and you're struggling to find true love and happiness with a woman today in the modern world. This topic, I've briefly discussed this before, but I'm going to go into great detail regarding this topic, share my thoughts, my opinions, and other stuff as well. So stick around for that. But before we get to all of that, let me first of all make sure everything is running properly. Give me just a second here. Let me just make sure that the YouTube notification has gone out, and it absolutely has. Let me also make sure that the back end of YouTube is rolling smoothly, and it is. Facebook is running great on the back end, and so is D Live. Let's check out the front end real quick of Facebook and D Live. Queen Helen Casey's here. Welcome, Queen. Queen will let me know if something's wrong with the YouTube side of things, so no need to check that. Here we are. Share it on Facebook. Facebook's running great. And D Live is running great. Let's see, I think it's running great, yeah. And D Live is running great. Yeah, let's see, perfect. Yeah. All right, before we get right to it, let me pay special props once again to my sponsor of my brand, the Coach Eli brand. That's none other than the great Troy Brewer. He is the CEO, founder, and owner of the Discover Community Network. I've known Troy and worked very closely with him for over 10 years, and he's been in business for over 15 years. And there's no one I trust more when it comes to branding and marketing. So if you're a struggling YouTuber or aspiring YouTuber and you're looking to take your message to the next level and get some more exposure, or if you run an online business anywhere else outside of YouTube and Google, Troy can help you with that. If you're a brick and mortar, Troy can help you with that, especially if you don't have an online presence. As a brick and mortar nowadays, you're pretty much out of business. So if you'd like more information about the Discover Community Network and how to connect with Troy for your free consultation, please go to discovercommunitynetwork.com. That's discovercommunitynetwork.com. The link is below in the description of the YouTube side of things, third of the way down. On Facebook, you will want to go to the top at the search bar and type in Discover Community Network and find the Facebook business page. And from there, you can get the links to the websites and how to connect with Troy. And if you want a little more hand-holding and, you need a little friendly nudge, or you're the shyer type and you want me to connect you with Troy because you feel more comfortable with me because you know me and you don't know Troy yet, I can make that connection for you. If that's the case, email me at Coach Eli at coacheli@eliasmelas.com. That's Coach Eli at coacheli@eliasmelas.com. The link to my email is below in the YouTube description and within the Facebook description on that side as well. Once again, Troy and the Discover Community Network, thank you so much for your continued sponsorship and patronage of my brand. Lots of love from Coach Eli and the Coach Eli clan. All right. Good day, everyone. Good day, everyone. I went to bed early last night, and I got up early this morning and got right to work. When I get up early, I'll make some coffee, and I'll check out my personal life real quick first. And if I feel like sending out some messages to some profiles I come across on many of the various dating sites or dating apps I'm at, I will do that. And today's topic was inspired by a woman's profile I came across on Match.com. And she actually responded to me. And I responded to her. And I'm sure she's busy at work right now, so she hasn't got back to me yet. But I'm sure we're going to connect and talk further. But that's not the point. The point is that within her profile, she mentioned something about something that we all haven't really discussed too much and has been, I guess, highly scrutinized even by professionals such as doctors. And that's called EQ, which is emotional intelligence. And she said that she values EQ over IQ, right? Now, I've looked into emotional intelligence, IQ stuff before, but I haven't done a deep dive into it. But I do understand what it is because I do feel I am a man that does have a very high level of emotional intelligence. And that's probably part of the reason why a lot of people have a difficult time understanding the type of person I am, because most men do not have that high level of emotional intelligence, and most men are not even emotionally aware, or they're emotionally closed off, and they may even be emotionally unavailable, right? So how can you relate to somebody like that? How can you relate to guys on this aspect when they don't even understand that, right? They don't get what emotional intelligence is and how much it actually affects their life, especially when it comes to dating the modern day woman. Okay? So EQ versus IQ, basically, I could put it on the screen, but I'm not. I have other things to show you on the screen here in a bit, and we'll get to that. But EQ is emotional intelligence, and IQ is overall intelligence. You know, what's your IQ, right? But nowadays, I'm beginning to more so see that women are more so valuing EQ over IQ, emotional intelligence over the IQ, which is the overall intelligence. Well, I tend to think both are important. But I understand why many women, especially this woman's profile I came across earlier today, why they value emotional intelligence, because they're looking to emotionally bond with a man because they want something genuine. Now, before I share a little more here, let me read the topic. The topic is, guys, real relationships with a good woman require emotional intelligence. One more time. Guys, real relationships with a good woman require emotional intelligence. So a second ago, I just mentioned what inspired me to do this topic, right? And in a second here, I'm going to switch over to the browser screen. And I have two Reddit postings to go over today. And they're both very, very good. The show's probably going to be about 2 hours long. Take a break halfway through and come back with the second Reddit posting. But the first Reddit posting is going to be Dr. Jordan B. Peterson on Twitter. Emotional intelligence does not exist. Wow, that's a doctor. Well, we'll talk about that in a second here. Okay. And the second one is going to be, this will come after the break. What do people with high emotional intelligence do on dates? One more time. What do people with high emotional intelligence do on dates? It's a very good question. Don't you think, Queen? Queen, pretty interesting topic, don't you think? Now, throughout this show, I will be periodically checking in on Facebook and D Live. And if there are any questions over there, I'll acknowledge them. If not, I will be primarily focused on the YouTube side of things. So before I switch over to the browser source here, I got to say, folks, most of you know who Jordan Peterson is, Dr. Jordan Peterson is, right? He has a pretty huge social media presence, primarily on YouTube, does a lot of videos, but he's also on many other social media platforms, including Twitter. And it really saddens me when somebody that is a doctor comes out and says something as important as this doesn't exist, when I know it does. Now, I'm going to come out and say this is my opinion because, it is my opinion, but it should be a fact. Because emotional intelligence, in my opinion, is the difference of whether a man can truly bond with a woman on all levels or not. Because one of the most important aspects to a woman is the emotional bond. Ladies, you correct me if I'm wrong. If a lady is physically attracted to you and she thinks that you're a smart person, and even if you're a good person, right, she wants to relate with you at an emotional level, right? And what does that require? To be able for a man to connect with a woman at an emotional level. Same for a woman, but I'm just talking about guys primarily here when it comes to connecting with women. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, you need to be emotionally available. You need to be emotionally aware. And you need to be emotionally open. Same thing, available, open, emotionally available, emotionally open, emotionally aware. Right? And to be able to understand what that is, to be able to be the good man you are and not be afraid to open yourself up emotionally at times when it's required to bond with your woman at that level. Okay, if you guys don't understand that and you're not able to do that, it's going to severely affect your relationships with women. Now, guys, have you ever had a woman tell you, I just want to be heard and understood? Let's go with that before we switch over to the browser source and get to this, posting discussing Dr. Jordan Peterson's, I guess we'll just call it an opinion that emotional intelligence doesn't exist. Okay. If you've been told by a woman, I just want to be heard and understood, what she's saying in other words is that she wants you to understand where she's coming from emotionally. Why? Like I've always said, guys, and if you don't understand this, I just give up now. Now, I'm not telling you to give up. I'm just saying if you can't figure out the fact that women are emotional beings and they respond to everything emotionally first, based on how they're feeling at the present moment. If you don't understand that and you can't relate to them emotionally and be emotionally open and emotionally aware, right? And emotionally available, that's the other one, emotionally available, right? Open, available, like I said, same thing, right? Then she's not going to feel like she's being heard or understood. Now, why do a lot of guys, in my opinion, have problems bonding with women emotionally? Well, a lot of it has to do with the way they were raised, stemming back to their childhood. Maybe they came from a broken household. Maybe they were raised in a household where the mother was more of the head of the household, behaving more masculine and wearing the pants. right? And they didn't get that nurturing, emotionally bonding love from their mother. I got plenty of that. I still get that to this day. My mother's still around. My father passed away 12 years ago, who taught me how to be a man. God rest his soul. But for example purposes, my mother had a huge part in me being able to understand this today, and it allowing me to be able to be aware of my emotions, be open with my emotions, and to be able to share that with a woman at times when it's called for. Now, a lot of people say, well, it's not good for a man to be emotional, right? That's not true. It's perfectly fine for a man to be emotional, but you have to have an emotional balance, and you have to not overdo it, right? If you are emotional all day, every day as a man, and you whine and complain about everything, right, and you're not strong, right, that's basically being emotionally unstable, or it's basically a man who's behaving more feminine than masculine. Because, as I said again, women are emotional beings. They respond to everything emotionally first based on how they're feeling in the present moment. Women are in a constant loop of emotion all day, every day, like the number 8, right? But for men, that's not normal. Does that mean men should never share emotion? No. At times, it's called for a man to shed emotions, right? And it's healthy to shed those emotions, especially when your lady comes to you with something. It may not have anything to do with you, but it's affecting her emotionally. She's looking at you as the man to be her rock and to be able to make her feel safe and to be able to help her work through that, right? But again, if you're not emotionally intelligent to understand this, and part of being emotionally intelligent is allowing yourself to be open with your emotions and be emotionally available to talk about those emotions and bond with her in that way. If you can't do that, that woman is going to get more upset, or she's going to just start to feel like you don't really care about her, when in essence you more than likely do. But again, because women are emotional beings and they want to bond with a man emotionally in a relationship, if you can't give them that, that's one of the main reasons why relationships don't work. Now, you have guys nowadays, right? It's really strange what's happened to men nowadays. Like, there are guys in their 30s and 40s that are married or living with a girlfriend, right? And all they do is sit around and play video games all day, right? And then the woman is not happy, and she's saying, oh, we never go out and do anything, blah, 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 right? Why are those guys playing video games all day instead of spending time with their woman? Because they're not emotionally intelligent, they're not emotionally open or available or aware, right? So if they don't have those qualities, why do they want that woman living with them? Why do they want that woman around? Because they still want a woman for other aspects. They want a woman for sex. They want a woman that's going to probably help clean and cook and stuff. And there are still women to this day, no matter how independent women are, that are living with men that still do a lot of the traditional stuff, right? They may still work, but they still do a lot of the traditional stuff. So a lot of these guys want a woman in every way except the one way that a woman wants to be with a man, or not the one way, but one of the most important ways a woman wants to be and bond with a man, and that is emotionally. So again, why do these guys sit around and play games all day? Some of them even in their 30s and 40s. Because they were raised differently, or they came from a broken household, or they've been traumatized through an experience in their life, or maybe multiple experiences through their life. And they have an unresolved or many unresolved emotional issues that they haven't worked through. So they're closed off emotionally, right? But again, they still want the sex from a woman, the cooking, the cleaning, and other aspects that come along with a woman. Guys, you have to understand this. The emotional bond is the most important thing to a woman. It is. Now, granted, before you can even start dating a woman or, live with a woman or marry a woman, there has to be the large spark of sexual attraction. That means, first and foremost, if there's no physical attraction or anything like that initially, you're never going to even go past the first date, right? I'm talking once you get past that physical attraction, you're physically attracted to each other, that's there, and you seem to be able to get along, right? Okay, once a woman establishes the fact that she's sexually attracted to you and she thinks that you're a good guy, she's now looking to create that emotional bond with you. And if you're not able to create that emotional bond with her, if you're not open to that emotional bond going into it, then I have to ask you, why do you want to be with a woman in a relationship? Why not just do casual hookups and stuff like that, like many people do? And that's another reason why many people do casual hookups and friends with benefits, because they don't want to deal with the emotion. And hey, to each its own. I don't preach that here. I'm all about relationships. But if you're going to do the casual hookup thing or friends with benefits, both the man and the woman should be open and honest. This is what we're seeking and nothing else, right? And if you agree with that on both sides, that's no problem. I still don't preach that, but hey, to each its own, right? I'm primarily talking about people that want to have a life with each other. A man that wants to have a life with a woman, and a woman that wants to have a life with a man, right? So with that being said, let's go ahead and switch on over to the browser source. And let's get right to this Reddit posting. This is from the subreddit Jordan Peterson. He has 262,000, and he calls them heroes in Journey. A lot of subscribers there. And this was actually posted 13 hours ago. And look, I went looking for this after I decided to do this topic. And this was just posted. You can see it right up here. Now 14 hours ago, it just changed dynamically on the fly. Dr. Jordan B. Peterson on Twitter, emotional intelligence does not exist. And there's the tweet right there. At Jordan B. Peterson. Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. Verified. Excellent. No such thing, period. The end. Huh? One more time, Doc. No such thing, period. The end. He's saying there's no such thing. To the question posed, what about emotional intelligence? When I first read this earlier this morning, when I was preparing for the show, I was like, I can't believe a doctor is saying that. And then I came to a realization. Whether he actually believes that or not is probably not the point. You know why? Because many people hold on a second here. I'm not even going to say what just happened. Many people on social media, they will say things a certain way to stir up the controversy to get more traction. And that's what I think Dr. Jordan B. Peterson is doing here. And I think a lot of Jordan Peterson's content has been put out there in a controversial way to get more exposure. And has it worked for him? Sure. But do I feel that Jordan Peterson at times is really being honest or true about the topic he's talking about, or is he just presenting it in a way that's going to get him more traction and make him more money? Now, A lot of people that view this are going to say, "Oh, you're coming after Jordan Peterson. You're talking smack about Jordan Peterson." No, I'm stating my opinion. I'm stating what I feel is happening, because if you're going to have a famous doctor that has an online presence with a lot of people following him and take his word at gospel or as gospel, for him to come out and say emotional intelligence does not exist, I'm going to challenge that. I'm going to give my opinions about it. I'm going to share why, like I did at the beginning of this show. Now, there's this IQ versus EQ. People can create terms and they can do whatever they want, right? I mean, I can understand that this is something that has been talked about a lot, and there's not a whole lot of information regarding this, but I can certainly tell you, I have lived my entire life being an emotionally intelligent man. And that's why I'm able to relate to women and emotionally bond with women. And I've been able to have some pretty good relationships in the past because of that. And that's one of the biggest struggles that, men and women have regarding dating nowadays, is the emotional aspect. Guys are emotionally closed off, right? Or they don't want to commit because they're emotionally closed off, right? They're just, they're just too scared, right? Let's go down to the comment section and see what the comment section says. And at about the 45-minute mark, I'm going to take a quick break and come back and go over the second posting here. His point is that whatever you think emotional intelligence is, it's not actually quantifiable or measurable. Who's trying to quantify it or measure it? I had a feeling somebody was going to say, is it quantifiable? People have tried, and it doesn't work in any statistically significant matter. Who's trying to make statistics out of this? Why does it need to be made into a statistic for it to actually exist? I think emotional intelligence is a fancy way or easier way of saying, are you emotionally available, aware, and, are you emotionally open? Same thing, emotionally open, available, aware, right? What about intelligence? Is IQ a good measure of it? And the response is, IQ is measurable. It relates primarily to fluid intelligence. Well, IQ is overall intelligence, right? There's a difference, in my opinion, between IQ and EQ. Emotional intelligence is one aspect of the overall intelligence, but I honestly feel that EQ should be a part of your IQ. How do you look at it when I say it that way? Pattern recognition, etc. So capacity to learn rather than cumulative acquired knowledge, crystallized intelligence. That's why you call yourself nerdy weightlifter. Okay. Those are too many fancy words, bro. IQ is not a proxy for EQ. No one's saying it's a proxy, but I think it is a part of your... I think EQ is a part of IQ, but IQ, is not a part of EQ. Well, there's an overall aspect of intelligence, and emotional intelligence is just one aspect of overall intelligence. That's my opinion. As far as I can tell, there's no reliable or consistent measurement of EQ, so it's not even clear what it is supposed to be. All the guys that are going against this, or guys and gals going against this, are emotionally closed off. That's my opinion. That doesn't mean it's not real, though. I agree. That's a woman. I can tell by the avatar. Is anyone trying to measure emotional intelligence like it's some sort of hard metric or whatever? I agree. You see, this is where I'm going to come out and say again, Jordan Peterson's much smarter than to come out and say emotional intelligence doesn't exist. He put it out there to stir up the controversial pot, right? Guy's way too smart to come out and say that this doesn't exist, or at least say something more than just it doesn't exist, period, the end. So you post that because you want to get hundreds of comments on your Reddit. So that way these people can go to your website, go to your YouTube channel, and that way you can monetize it, right, Jordan? So Jordan, are you really even being honest and genuine as a doctor? Or are you saying whatever it takes to get traction, like many people do? You see, if I wanted to play the game that way and focus my content, make it more controversial, and pretend to believe in things I don't, I'd probably get a lot more traction, right? But then I'd be lying to myself and I wouldn't be true to myself. And I'd rather have less traction and grow slower and the right way, doing what makes me happy, being real, than being fake to grow much quicker. In my opinion, that's what this all boils down to. If you do a 5 or 6 trait personality analysis, emotion is measured within them. Of course, his argument is that there is no concrete thing called emotional intelligence. Well, people are starting to do this EQ thing, and people can create whatever they want and try to measure it, right? And whether it's measurable or not, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It does exist, because most guys are not emotionally intelligent, and that's why they struggle with women. Why is no one talking about that? Doesn't make it real when it's make-believe. Who says it's make-believe? You must be very emotionally closed off. If you follow the logic, you'll end up with openness intelligence, extroversion intelligence, consciousness intelligence, etc., which is nothing different from the trait already being measured. No one's trying to measure it. When you talk about IQ, that's your overall intelligence that has many different variables. In my opinion, EQ, emotional intelligence, is just one aspect of IQ, overall intelligence. But I'm stating this, I'm talking about emotional intelligence today because, in my opinion, it's one of the main reasons why men and women break up or have lots of arguments and don't get along, but primarily why they break up, because the woman wants to emotionally bond with her man, and he's not bonding with her emotionally, but he's bonding with her in other ways. And men just don't understand this. And it's being proven here on this posting from Dr. Jordan Peterson. Based on existing definitions, it's not measurable. So even if you think you know it when you see it, it's ineffable. I understand what you're saying there. Who's trying to measure it? It doesn't need to be really measured. It's either there or it isn't. You either have emotional intelligence or you don't. Why would you measure something that's either there or not, right? It's either 100% or 0. There's no need to measure it. There's no way to say with any consistency whether anyone has more or less emotional intelligence, or even specifically what you mean when you say that. And that's why I'm doing this show, to share my thoughts about what I feel it is and how it's affected me my entire life by allowing me to have several great emotionally bonding relationships that I enjoyed with women I've dated in the past. Let me check out the chat real quick. Queen doesn't know Jordan Peterson. She's like just peachy. And then she says, I see a lot of symbolism in that picture. Are you talking about my background queen, or what are you talking about? All right, let's continue here. I have no idea what Jordan himself means by the term. That's because all he said was it doesn't exist, period, the end. He's stirring up drama, controversy for attention. That's pathetic, Jordan. There clearly are benefits to being able to read other people's emotions and predict what they will do. Exactly. I like, is this a man or a woman? This has to be a woman. Dale Lynn, that's a woman, 62. So this is an older woman. Let me see here. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, there clearly are benefits to being able to read other people's emotions and predict what they will do. That's true. If you can learn to read a woman's emotional, nonverbal communication and you're on a first date with her, you're going to be able to tell if she's really attracted to you or not, right? Regardless of what she says, because women won't tell you, if they're attracted to you or not. They'll just ghost you after the date, right? But if they are attracted to you and you don't make a move, try to kiss her or hug her or show her some affection, if she, is giving you that sign and you can't read her emotional response non-verbally, then you're going to miss your opportunity. Whether it's share their food or beat you with a stick. Or beat you with stick, okay. Primatologist Robert Sapolsky says beta males are not necessarily betas because they are smaller or not aggressive enough. Betas are not as good at recognizing overtures of friendship and responding effectively. They're not. The beta males don't understand that women don't want to be put on a pedestal. They want to be appreciated, but they don't want to be sucked up to, or they don't want their ass kissed, right? They don't want the overly nice guy, like I mentioned on my stream I did yesterday. Check that out if you missed it. It was a pretty good one. 3 hours long. Actually, 2.5 hours long. The betas don't realize that women just want guys to be themselves around them, just like they are with the guys. Basically, a woman wants you to treat her the same way you would treat your guy friends, with one difference. She also wants you to emotionally and physically bond with her, sexually, intimately, lovemaking, and to be able to express yourself emotionally to her or be there for her when she's having emotional moments. But if you can't recognize that, then how are you going to make that happen? The betas don't get that. The alphas get it. The alphas, most of the alphas, if not all the alphas, they get that. I understand that. If you consider these things skill that an animal is partly wired for, but also has to learn and practice, how is different? You're missing words, ma'am. How is it different than other cognitive processes? Okay, that's a good point. I'll leave that alone. I'm not going to add any more to that. I think someone studying autism or other neurological deficits involving emotion would disagree as well. Well, autistic people are diagnosed with autism, right? And they have difficulty understanding certain social cues, right? So sometimes, or many cases, if not all cases, when you have an autistic person that has an emotional outburst, which people with autism have many emotional outbursts normally because they don't understand certain social cues that most of us people without autism do understand. So if you approach an autistic person with something that wouldn't be perceived as an emotionally bad thing, if they perceive it as an emotionally bad thing, it might trigger them to get very emotional and overly emotional, right? You have to understand that. I've also read case studies of people who lost the ability to feel or express emotion, but have normal IQs, memory, etc. What's interesting about them is it should be are not, you're leaving out words, man, are not super logical. Spock-like thinkers you'd expect, freed from the tyranny of irrational feelings. They have incredible difficulty making decisions and choices. Okay? For the most part, I agree with what that lady wrote. There's that nerdy weightlifter again. Let's go through a few more before we take our first break. I think we're failing to communicate. That's true. And how do women like to communicate at an emotional level? You don't always have to be extremely emotional when talking with a woman, but just understand everything that you say to a woman, whether you're having fun or you're just having a regular soft-spoken conversation, everything you say to a woman is going to trigger an emotional response, because women respond to everything emotionally first based on how they're feeling in the present moment. Then they reason with logic. You folks have to understand that. Let's see. Jordan doesn't deny the existence or utility of empathy. Nobody denies emotional intelligence because he's trying to get drama ratings. EQ, on the other hand, is purported to be some kind of quantifiable measurement of empathy. There's no consistent measurement of that. Well, I don't think emotional intelligence should be measured. I think companies that are trying to measure it are trying to sell you a pipe dream. Now, if Jordan came out and said that, I would respect that. I think emotional intelligence does exist, but it's not quantifiable because it's either there or it isn't. How can you measure something that's either all there or all not there? You either have it or you don't, right? And this is the problem I have with social media. You have all these people here, even doctors like Jordan Peterson, presenting material in a way, whether he agrees with it or not, that's going to get him drama traction or get the controversial pot going, right? As a doctor, I would never put my name on the line and put something out there like this saying emotional intelligence doesn't exist. Period. The end. Right? I'm sure he has some more he could add to it, like I've been adding to it, but why is he going to do that when it won't get the traction of him just putting out emotional intelligence doesn't exist? Period. The end. Right? I'm sorry, I can't respect that. I can't respect when a famous doctor online is playing the game just for traction. I can't stand that. I can't. EQ, on the other hand, is perpetrated to be some kind of quantifiable measurement of empathy. And this person is responding to a previous comment and is responding to it by saying, not even. Emotional intelligence is a concept cooked up in order to discredit IQ by offering a way for those with low IQs to feel better about themselves, since many attach moral value to IQ scores for some reason. I disagree with that. Dude, that I don't know how you came up with that, bro. Emotional intelligence is not cooked up to discredit overall intelligence. I think it's one aspect, one small aspect of overall intelligence, right? There are some very, very smart people out there in this world. They're highly introverted. They're very intelligent, but they lack emotional intelligence. Why do you think they have problems connecting with women? Man, I could sit here and talk about this all day, every day. I could sit there and challenge Dr. Jordan Peterson on this. I'd love to do a show with you, Doc, but I'm not big enough, right? I've only got 4.3 something K subs, right? Right? So I'm not even worth a look, right? But I can tell you one thing, Doc. I may only have 4.3 something K subs, but I bet you I can give you more of a run for your money regarding this topic than anyone else, even with millions of subscribers. I'm that intuitive. I'm that in tune with myself. And I've had that much experience in life. And I'm not a doctor. I'm a coach. I've done a lot of personal development on myself and had a lot of experience, and I've learned from my mistakes. Let's read a few more before I take a break. I did say perpetrated. Or so purported, I mean. Purported. Yes, I take issue with the concept and no, you aren't defending it. Yes, I take issue with the concept and no, you aren't defending it. Why did you put that twice there, dude? Anyway, one more before I go on break here. This is a dude, it looks like. This person's responding to, there are lots of different ways to record or measure human responses and neutral processes. Why would emotion be an exception? Okay. How accurate are they? Is the person hiding emotions not because they don't understand emotions or have a good grasp on theirs, but because they don't like people? Nope, it has to do with how they were raised and some other unresolved issues that they experienced negative emotions. So it closes them off, right? Someone emotionally intelligent is going to be able to work through that, is going to be able to understand that, hey, you have good days and bad days. Just because you have a bad day, or let's say just because you have a bad relationship and someone broke your heart, doesn't mean everyone else is like that. I think we can quantify emotional intelligence in that aspect. But again, there's no need to quantify it because you either have it or you don't. I don't think there's no in between. There's no in between, right? Maybe something traumatic happened where they do like to express emotions, but understand their emotional values quite well and those around them. Yeah, I was just saying that. They experience something traumatic, it's a good word, in their life. And they don't want to feel that pain ever again. So instead of working through it and learning from that, right, and not letting it get to them, being emotionally strong, okay, they end up closing themselves off and they want nothing to do with emotions, period. So they can't relate to a woman or other people emotionally. And anytime somebody tries to talk with them about something that a person like this perceives, would be emotional, they stop that conversation because any type of emotion hurts people like these based on their underlying issues of an unresolved issue. Let's see. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they think it is silly. Maybe they are a sociopath. That's a possibility. But it's more than that. Maybe they are lying about what they are feeling. That has to do with their past experiences like we've been talking about. Maybe they don't know how to express what they are feeling because they have low IQ. No. That has nothing to do with IQ. You don't need to be the smartest person in the world to have emotions and express how you're feeling emotionally. You just need to be able to feel emotion and express it, right? Maybe their autism clouds the results. Come on, dude, that's a low blow at autistic people, dude. And if it wasn't a low blow, dude, there was no need for that. Autistic people don't understand certain social cues, so they're gonna overreact emotionally to something that they don't understand based on their autism. How well we can handle or know the deal with emotions are unquantifiable because emotions are unquantifiable. No one's trying to quantify them. I'm not. And any company online that's trying to quantify an EQ, they're just doing it to try to make money. I think EQ exists. The only thing is this: it's either there or it's not. It's either 100% you are emotionally intelligent, or 0% you're not emotionally intelligent. There's no in between, right? But people will argue you that want to, capitalize off of you, right? And if you want to believe them in that aspect, that's on you. IQ is determined by quantifiable things. Emotions can be lied about. The answer to 2 plus 2 cannot. I'll agree with you on that. Yes, you can't quantify IQ. It's based on, maybe test taking, how well you retain information, right? And other aspects, right? So yeah. And part of quantifying your IQ is if you're emotionally intelligent or not. Which, like I said, your EQ, you're either 100% emotionally intelligent or you're 0. There's no in between. But EQ is a part of IQ, in my opinion, of course, right? Right. Who's pretending it is measurable? Who is saying it's objectively comparable or comparable in the way you describe? None of that suggests it isn't real, just that it is abstract and relative. I'll say this one more time, and then I'm taking a break. Emotional intelligence, you either have it or you don't. There's no in between. It is not quantifiable, in my opinion. IQ is. Okay? But if you're going to come out and say emotional intelligence does not exist as a doctor, then I'm gonna question your intentions on that. You're drama marketing, Jordan. That's all you're doing. You're trying to make your content so controversial that you trigger the emotional response in people. To a lot of people do that. I'm going to leave that one alone. It drives me sick it drives me insane when people, do things like that, but to each its own, right? Anyway, let's go back and switch over to the main screen here. And is that Alex the Beer Master? When you were starting to put the article up. Oh, okay, Queen. That's what you were referring to. The symbolism in that picture. Okay. Good afternoon, Alex the Beer Master. And Queen Helen Casey says, hello, Alex. Alex, it's been a while, man. You should communicate with us in the chat behind the scenes, bro. You've probably been pretty busy lately, haven't you, bro? Let me know what's been going on. And when I come back from the break, I'll respond to you. But try to stick around long enough so I can respond to you, brother. All right, let's cue up some royalty-free YouTube music and take that first break. We're at 53 minutes right now. I'm going to come back for another half an hour, 45 minutes, and get to the second Reddit posting, which is titled, What Do People with High Emotional Intelligence Do on Dates? It's from the subreddit dating_advice. Pretty good. Pretty good. So let's cue up that music. Let's cue it up. Cue it up. Do, 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 do. Mm-hmm. Almost set, folks. Almost set. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Almost set, almost set, almost set. All right, folks, music is all queued up. Let's step away for a quick break. And like I said, when we return, we're going to get back to that interesting Reddit posting where the question was posed, what do people with high emotional intelligence do on dates? So stick around. We'll be right back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. What a beautiful day it is today. I love this background, the beautiful trees, the nice path that you can walk on, beautiful hiking path there. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Yeah. Bam. Boom, boom. Yeah, I like this song. Yeah, I gotta feel good all the time. Keep a positive attitude. Be emotionally open. Be emotionally available. Be emotionally aware. And one more thing I'll talk about here in a second to start off the second part of the show. Be emotionally healthy. That's the way to look at it, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, yeah. Queen says, nice forest. Yeah, it is, Queen. Beautiful. I would hike that place. I don't know where it's at, but it looks beautiful to me. All right. Let's get right back to it. All right. Welcome back to Morning Coffee with Coach Eli. Live here on the Coach Eli Television Network, primarily broadcasting live on YouTube at youtube.com/LifeCoachEli, and also simulcasting live on Facebook and D Live, right? And today, we've been discussing, guys, real relationships with a good woman require emotional intelligence. One more time. Guys, real relationships with a good woman require emotional intelligence. It's true any way you want to look at it, guys. And gals too, but I think women understand this more than men. This is one thing that women have been struggling to try to get men to understand. And it's not easy to understand. Number one, you got to be raised right like I was. Have a feminine mother and a masculine father that, teach you both masculine and feminine traits, and have your mother be a good example, of emotional intelligence, which my mother was. And that's why nowadays you see a lot of people not committing in relationships. They have friends with benefits, FWB. We live in a hookup culture. You see, we all still have, the wants and needs, sexual desire, companionship, and all of that. But we want all that, but we don't want to put the emotional risk in there, right? We don't want to put the emotional risk into it, right? So that doesn't allow us to have something sustainable long term, right? Doesn't allow us to have something sustainable long term. In essence, if we're not going to be emotionally available or emotionally open, and if we're not emotionally healthy, all we're going to be doing is what's called a temporary fix. That's what a hookup is. It's a temporary fix for something that you wish you could have in a real way, right? Think of it that way, right? And that's a better way to look at this whole thing. Are you emotionally healthy or not? And I think part of having emotional intelligence, or a huge part of it, if not the entire aspect of it, is being emotionally healthy and understanding how to balance your emotions, whether you're a man or a woman. But we're more so primarily catering this to men, because this is what I feel women are struggling to try to get through to men that is necessary for a relationship to completely work, on top of the intimacy and other aspects, the mental connection and the spiritual connection. Even part of the spiritual connection involves you being able to emotionally bond. Those are my thoughts regarding that. All right, let's get back to the browser screen here and get to the next Reddit posting. The final one here. And again, this person poses the question, what do people with high emotional intelligence do on dates? One more time, what do people with high emotional intelligence do on dates from the subreddit dating_advice. I'm always hearing about how people with high EQ, which is emotional intelligence, are able to wow their dates, always saying the right things. But how exactly does that work? Now, that's a very, very great question. I think it's a woman posting this. And I'm a very highly emotionally intelligent man. I understand emotions. I understand my own emotions. I understand women's emotions. Now, could a man like me use that emotional intelligence I have to try to manipulate a woman if I don't really like her, but I just want to sleep with her? Sure. And I'm sure there are some guys out there that are as emotionally intelligent as me that are able to give women a false sense of emotional bonding or of an emotional bond to try to get in their pants, but they want nothing more. But I'm not saying you go and do that. That's not the point. But yes, when this person says wow their date's always saying the right things, it's not about wowing your date. It's about just being you and naturally bonding and connecting and allowing yourself to be able to express yourself to that person and understand where they're coming from. Yeah, my phone is going off. I've got a lot of messages from this new dating app I've been using. I may do a stream later tonight on this new dating app and share my experiences, or I may wait a little bit longer. I was kind of mentioning this on my stream yesterday, but it's just been interesting being on this new dating app, still being on Match.com and Bumble, but now I've got a third one, right? You see what you have to go through nowadays just to try to find one person you can connect with at an emotional level. That's what I want. I want the emotional bond. Because I know once the emotional bond is there, everything else will fall into place, right? Now, the physical attraction has to be there too. But once there's physical attraction, you have to be able to connect and bond emotionally. Then everything else falls into place. The mental, the spiritual, the overall, right? So, how exactly does this work? Let's go to the comment section and see what the people said here. I can create this feeling of chemistry with almost everyone. Really? Looks like you're a male there. It's kind of easy. I'll give you some tips. Be genuinely happy and excited on the date. Right. I wouldn't be like overly excited if you're a guy. If you're a woman, that's normal. Us guys want to see you excited because that'll excite us. And that will also not scare you as a woman if you get excited first and then we get excited with you. But if a guy gets excited and the woman is not, or she's just warming up to you, it may be too soon. You got to be cool. But I get what he's saying. Be genuinely curious about the other person. Right. Meaning that you want to truly get to know them. You're there because, yeah, you like how they look. You're attracted to them physically and you're looking for a relationship, hopefully, right? But part of that involves getting to know them and learning about them. I want to get to know about the woman that I'm going to possibly date, right? So I'm going to ask her a lot of questions, right? And nowadays, I encounter lots of women that say you're asking too many questions, right? Was this an interview? No, well, it kind of is, yes, but I'm not trying to make it one. But what the woman is basically saying, you know, what she means by when she says you're asking too many questions is that she doesn't want to answer those questions because they affect her emotionally. And she doesn't want to make you aware that she has some emotional issues that she knows is going to instantly eliminate her. But someone as emotionally intelligent and aware as myself is going to pick up on the fact that she's saying that because she's emotionally closed off. She's not emotionally stable, right? If you have the emotional intelligence like I do, you're going to be able to pick up on a woman like that and quickly withdraw yourself from that situation before you invest too much time and waste your time, instead of talking to someone that's, more emotionally stable and open, right? Most people fail these two key concepts. Either they're not happy or they're not really curious about the other person, or they lack self-esteem, self-respect, self-love, or they have issues within themselves, and they're putting themselves out there, trying to find someone that's going to make them feel better. But that never works, especially if you're a guy, right? A woman's not going to want to fix you. You need to come complete. They're too focused on themselves and trying to come across a certain way. That's because they're insecure or they have other emotional issues they haven't worked through yet. Exercising too much self-control, which usually blocks the sense of connection. It's not self-control, it's being closed off emotionally because they have unresolved issues. That's the bottom line. You can't effectively focus on two things at the same time. You can multitask, but I get what you're saying. So if you're focused on how you come across, what to say, you can't at the same time focus on the other person. So you need to let go of controlling yourself and focus on the other person 100%. You should focus on, if you're a guy and you're going to date with a woman, you should focus on her, right? Okay? But in my opinion, you, number one, need to have emotional self-control, but be open, right? Just be cool. And there's nothing wrong with thinking about before you speak, right? Okay? Don't say something stupid, right? The best position to put yourself in is a relaxed, peaceful state. You're sitting there, you're talking with a woman, and you're having a conversation with her, right? A woman that's into you is gonna help you keep the conversation going. I've talked with women on the phone or been on first dates in the past where it's a struggle to keep the conversation going because the woman is not asking any questions. Her responses to me are short. If you're with a woman like that, she's either A, not physically attracted to you, not feeling the chemistry, or B, she has some emotional issue, right? And it's a flip side, when it comes to men for women. If you're a woman asking a guy questions because you want to get to know him and he's giving you a short response, right? And you're struggling to keep a conversation with him, he's not emotionally available or ready. You need to remove yourself from that, right? That's the truth. The other person will sense you're being genuine because you're not controlling yourself, and they will also feel like you're present with them and a good listener, which makes them open up to you. Just go with the flow. Keep the conversation going back and forth. Like another coach that I really respect out here on YouTube, Coach Corey Wayne, says, it's like playing a game of tennis. You hit the ball over the net, and you wait for the woman to hit the ball back, right? So you ask a question, you wait for her to respond, and then, once she responds, she may ask you a follow-up question. If she doesn't, maybe she's waiting for you to ask a follow-up question. If you're into each other, if you're feeling the chemistry and the connection, that conversation will flow, right? If the connection is not being felt, even if you are emotionally aware and both of you are emotionally aware, it just probably wasn't meant to be because the chemistry is not there. So, and as someone being emotionally intelligent or intelligent in general is going to understand that and know when to withdraw or when to keep moving forward. How do I sound genuinely curious about the other person without making them feel like it's an interrogation? Asking questions about them. Great question. And I just mentioned that. I'll say it again. Okay? When you're getting to know someone, there's no such thing as asking too many questions. If a woman's trying to truly get to know you and she's interested in something long-term that could lead to marriage, why wouldn't she want you to know everything about her as quickly as possible? And same with you on the flip side. Same on the flip side, right? I'll repeat that again. How do I sound genuinely curious about the other person without making them feel like it's an interrogation, asking questions about them? If they're not open to answering any questions you ask that are reasonable questions, it means they're trying to hide something from you. And it hits an emotional trigger that they haven't resolved, and it's going to affect your relationship down the road. So if they're not open to talking about it now, or they say you're asking too many questions, what is this, 20 questions? What is this, an interview? When you get a woman like that, or ladies, when you get a man on the flip side, okay, that means there's an emotional issue that hasn't been resolved, and it's time to withdraw from that person. They're not ready. And maybe they never will be. Maybe they just have some severe emotional issues and they're trying to cover things up. So I understand why this dude, Giro33, says, he must be 33 years old, right? I get why you're asking that, dude. You've probably encountered women that say you're asking too many questions. There's no such thing, man. If a woman's into you, she will answer your questions before you even ask them. Put it to you that way. And on the flip side, same with the guy. Same with the guy. This comes down to a skill known as active listening. True. It's a good point. You ask open-ended questions that can't be answered in one word. Right. Because if you ask an open-ended question that needs to be responded to in detail, and the woman, let's say you're a man that's asking the question, and the woman, responds with a few words or one or two sentences and then clams up, that means either A, again, she's not physically attracted to you, not feeling the chemistry, or B, there's an unresolved emotional issue, and it's your time to eject. And when they reply, show them you understand what they said by paraphrasing what they just told you to see if you got it right. Yes, when you're talking with a woman, the way you can make her aware that you're paying attention is by repeating, part of her question in the answer. So she may ask you, for example, she may answer, or she may ask you like, what do you enjoy doing during your spare time, right? And I would say, hey, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Say, I'm glad you asked. See how you're communicating? So what do I enjoy doing? I'd say this, or I'd say, well, this is what I enjoy doing during my spare time. You see how I'm repeating the question? So this is what I enjoy doing during my spare time. I'm glad you asked. I enjoy hiking. I enjoy this. I enjoy that. And you may want to flip it around and say, but I'm also open to trying new things. I'm also curious to know what you enjoy doing during your spare time, right? Perfect, right? Then the next question or statement is based on their reply. Right. You see, I just said that in different words. Not based on your own line of questioning you had pre-planned. You have to remain flexible and focused on the other person. There is a list of common things or of things that people should definitely ask, right? But you don't need to show up with a list in your head or a list on paper, right? You just go and you show up and you have a conversation and you get to know someone. And when you get to my age, like 47, it's like a natural, normal thing, right? It's just a normal thing. When I'm getting to know someone, whether it's for a dating relationship with a woman, or if I'm trying to collaborate with another YouTuber or somebody, regarding business, right? I ask them questions. Tell me about yourself, dude. What do you enjoy doing for fun? How much experience do you have doing this? Have you ever done any type of online marketing before? Ask questions to get to know the person regarding what you're trying to accomplish with them, whether it's a date or whether you're trying to get someone to collaborate with you with your business, or you're trying to do business with somebody or whatever, right? You have to remain flexible and focused on the other person, right? You also give them eye contact, smile, and laugh at the appropriate times. Say things like, totally, I understand, I get that, I know the feeling, yeah, right. You don't even have to say anything to interrupt them. You can just shake your head. Like, yeah. Because people want to know you're focused on them, right? If not, they're wasting their words. In today's world, because there's so much information out there due to the internet, right, and streaming services and all that, right, we have the attention span that's less than a goldfish, like 2 seconds or less. And people know that. So they don't want to waste their time continuing to say something to you if they don't know or if they can't sense you're focused. Okay. My phone's going off. That's why I put it on silent. Turn vibrate off too. Yes, I completely agree, etc. To encourage them to share more, continue talking, feel heard, understood, supported, etc. You got to be a great communicator. And part of being a great communicator is being emotionally intelligent and being emotionally available and aware and open. Right. Sometimes you also add in statements about your own life that relates to what they said, done sparingly. You want to relate to them. Right. Yes. Yes. Journalists and therapists learn this skill. You can look up active listening to learn more about it. When I come across some women that I've never met a guy that's like me that's a great communicator, they get thrown off by it. That's why they'll say, wow, you ask a lot of questions, right? Or something like that, right? Well, is that a bad thing? I'm trying to get to know you, right? Oh, no, it's not a bad thing. I'm just not used to it. Yeah, because a lot of people are emotionally closed off, is what I'll tell a woman like that. But I'm not. Would you rather be with a man that's emotionally open and aware and likes to communicate, is a great communicator? What normal woman wouldn't want that? A woman that is thrown off by that is a woman that's not in a good emotional state and not ready for a relationship. That would be your cue to withdraw. Any normal woman would love that type of communication, as long as she's attracted to you. But it's a fine balance. It takes time to learn how to do it so well that you don't have to think about the technicalities, and you can just focus on the other person while doing it technically correct out of habit. Yeah, it's a good point. I just said the same thing in different words. Talk show hosts are usually experts at this. See, I'm like a talk show host. I'm a coach, but I basically run like a talk show here, pretty much when I'm live. And in my pre-recorded videos, it's a similar thing, but without the live audience. They're usually trained journalists or comedians, and their job is to encourage the guests to open up and share things about themselves. Well, if they don't do that, they have no show. When I bring people on a live stream panel on my show, I ask them questions that are going to trigger a response. Because if they don't respond and they're just there, not saying anything, what's the point of them being there? Then there's no show. It's boring, right? After years of such training, these hosts are usually fantastic at active listening. I'm good at active listening, and I'm even good and great at asking questions. If they're good, it doesn't feel like an interview. It feels like a conversation. Exactly. I'll bring somebody on my panel, like another YouTuber. Hey, bro, how's it going? Hey, gal, how's it going? It's great to have you here. Make them feel at home, right? So, man, how things been going for you, bro? What's been going on, right? You're having like a real conversation. It's just live on the air with an audience, right? Ask questions that start with who, what, when, where, and why. Right. Who, what, when, where, why. Don't forget that from your grammar school days, right? Brilliant advice. Seriously, I admire your communication skills, and I am also learning some new techniques here. Thank you, Norwegian Doggo. That's a great name, Norwegian Doggo. Wrote that long response there, long comment there I just read a second ago. Really awesome, dude. 100% agree with your advice. Can confirm this is the best way, in my honest opinion. I agree. I totally agree. We are at 1 hour and 30 minutes. I'm going to go over a few more here, then I'm going to wrap things up. Keep this show, shorter, so more people can view the replay the entire way through. And I may end up coming back for a second stream later tonight. Maybe a Walking with Purpose or an in-studio stream. I'll see how it goes. Not sure if I have high EQ, which is emotional intelligence, but people say I'm really easy to talk to. When you hear that, it's the truth. Because no one's going to say, hey, you're really easy to talk to, especially a woman, unless you are. My brain kind of works 100 miles per hour, analyzing all possibilities, responses, and judging which would get the best reaction. I think you're just very aware, bro, to where you can naturally and instinctually respond to something on the fly in a genuine way and keep the conversation going, keep it lighthearted, but keep it real, all right? It's like an intuition thing for me, right? This guy has intuition just like I do. No, I think it's a chick, actually. It's a woman. Okay. I see a female in the avatar there. I'm not saying the right things, not at all. It's about empathy and reading the mood of the other person really well. If you're very tightly connected, you almost feel like you can read their thoughts. Right. Someone that's meant to be with you in a relationship is going to make it easy for you, and the conversation will flow. Someone that's not, it doesn't matter how emotionally intelligent and aware you are. If they're not emotionally intelligent and aware and in a good place emotionally, it doesn't matter how good you are. It's a skill, not a talent. You can call it a skill. I think to a certain extent, it depends on how you're raised, and it should be something natural. But you can better yourself. You can always better yourself. You start by asking questions with the purpose of learning something interesting about the other person. They might say something that resonates with you, and if it does, you should express it not like fake over the top, but genuinely enthused. You find yourself liking the other person in a real way and being honestly interested in hearing their thoughts on the subject. Right. Don't just pretend to like what the woman's saying because you want to get in her pants. You either like it or you don't. Don't overdig and don't overtalk. Well, when it comes to women, I disagree with that. Because if a woman is trying to hide anything from me that will affect my sanity in being in a relationship with her, I'd rather find out sooner than later. Listen, for the most part, unless you have something humorous, not insulting, or insightful to say, and for the love of God, don't kill the conversation by over-discussion. The key thought is to be a pro-pus. What does that mean? With reference to. I've never heard that word. Well, I can't get my audio to go through on Google anymore. Maybe they changed that. With reference to concerning. Okay. Fancy words. Keep it light, but fun and engaging. I agree. Keep it light, but keep it fun. Keep it exciting, right? If you work hard at it, you will definitely make the other person feel heard and validated and understood, which is exactly what you actually did. So good job. Women seek out validation all the time. If they like you, then it's normal to validate them, right? But don't overdo it, right? And when I mean validate them, I don't mean put them on a pedestal and tell them they're always right about everything when they're not. Be honest with them, right? Just, part of validation could be, just having a cool conversation, agreeing with them on something if you agree, or disagreeing with them and explaining to them, hey, I understand why you feel that way, but, I feel differently, but no, it's cool. I like the fact that you're not afraid to express yourself, whether someone agrees with you or not. And they're going to know that you're being honest, especially if you disagree. But it's also how you disagree. When you disagree with a woman and you do it respectfully, she knows you're listening to her. And she also knows you're not trying to just agree with her, thinking that that's going to, get you the promised land, right? All right, folks. I'm going to stop it right there and get back to full screen and start wrapping this up. We are at 1 hour and 35 minutes. I want to thank you all for being here today. More than likely, I'll be back for a second show. It might be a Walking with Purpose stream, or it might be another in-studio stream. If that does happen, it won't be probably until later this afternoon or early evening. If I don't do a show by 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, I probably won't come back until tomorrow. With that being said, have yourselves a great day. I'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye. Boo.